Hi, this is Eddie Deezen. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
You are listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall on Realm of the Mist Entertainment.
Sure.
Hey, what's up, guys? Christopher Stolle here for another Breaking the Fourth Wall. This one's going to be a little different. I'm going to tell you why it's going to be a little different, because I'm not doing an interview today. I'm done. I'm not doing interviews today. Interviews are over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and have a nice conversation with a fellow podcaster who, unlike me, actually has experience with voiceover work and being able to have a voice for radio as opposed to me, who has a face for radio. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darren, I'm going to butcher this, but Kahmeyer.
There you go.
Nice.
Nailed it.
There we
Nailed
go.
it.
How you doing today?
I am doing well. Thanks for having me. I love this whole idea of being done with the interview and let's just put it into bullshit mode and get it going. I like it.
Well, we've been sitting here for the last 20 minutes bullshit anyway. Might as well record it, right?
Yeah, you lost some good stuff there. Some real meat.
Yeah, we'll try to recapture the magic.
For sure.
It'll be like
sure.
a reboot of Twister. It just won't work. Oh, wait, sorry. Too soon?
Oh, you know what? I don't even think I've ever seen the first one.
Yeah, now they're talking about rebooting it.
Oh, my God. I'm still sitting here waiting for the Top Gun.
Top Gun Maverick?
Maverick. Is that out?
No, but is it sad that I want tickets to it?
Oh, well, just because it's just nice to see how the preservation of Tom Cruise is progressing.
That's
like I aged more in a day than he has in the last 20 years.
That's what happens when you feed off the blood of virgins.
Is that what it is? Is that
Probably.
a Scientology thing?
I don't know what I've never studied Scientology.
I don't know, but I want in, whatever it is. Dude looks amazing. Well, how old is he? He's like 50 something, right?
He's up there. I mean, the guy's willing to do freaking stunts from space.
He does his own
Mission
stunts.
Impossible. You know, you can't. He may be nuts, but you can't fault the guy. He's dedicated to his craft.
You know what though? They probably don't tell you, but he's probably got like one of these chambers in his house where like the world stops when he walks in, and he's just like being preserved. I'm sure,
like the Michael Jackson
yeah.
chamber.
I mean, you get enough money, and you have to do something with it. So let's like tweak the house to where, we only have the purest mountain water running through our pipes, and there's no copper in this house because that's toxic. I bet. And then when he meets somebody, the non-disclosure is like 7,000 pages because you can't let anybody know what's going on here. It's basically Neverland.
I almost feel like it's like an old James Bond movie where you go to his house and it's so normal. You see like the dining room and the family room and the living room, and it's all nice and prim and proper. And as soon as people leave, he hits a button and like the bar's flipping over to the
Hell yeah, Tony Stark, where are you? That's exactly right. I don't know. You know who else is like this? Brad Pitt. Come on.
Brad. You know what? I don't necessarily agree with a lot of what comes out of Brad Pitt's mouth. Usually, I don't. But I got to give respect to anybody who's willing to have that many kids in the house at one time.
Oh, come on! He doesn't have that many kids in the house. He left those with her.
True, but he's
got his own palace now. He just sits around smoking pot all day and coming up with great ideas. And look at how perfect he looks in the mirror.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. He and even when he did live there, like they ever dealt with those kids only when there was a photo op. Otherwise, they're like, get the nanny. What do you deal with these kids? No way. There's like 7 of them, isn't there?
Something like 17 or something.
That's not even legal. Not even legal.
I'm still waiting for my adoption papers from Angelina Jolie.
Oh God, wouldn't that be sweet? That's like hitting the lottery, right?
That is,
I'm banking on it. Hey, before you started recording, we were talking about just the madness of being a part of these networks and all this podcast stuff and whatnot.
Right.
I wanted. Well, I got to tell you about the DK project. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
But I wanted to.
This is my audition for the DK project.
Is that what you're doing?
That's what I'm doing. I'm auditioning for the co-host spot.
I should be recording this. Damn it. We're going to have to start this thing over. My podcast journey started, I always wanted to be on the radio. And right out of high school, I had a child very young and, I couldn't go to college, couldn't do the whole bit. I had to get out there and grind it. So I went to Brown Institute here in Minneapolis to see about being on the radio. And everybody, they're like, you're going to make $7 an hour. And even then, $7 an hour was insulting. I'm like, that ain't going to work. So, fast forward 30 years and I had a little health scare. So I'm like, screw it. I'm going to do what I want to do. And my brother-in-law and I had, we've just been not so much cataloging physically on a notebook, but like mentally just weird shit so that someday we could write a movie. And it just never happened. Got close, never happened. And then all of a sudden, I don't know the first thing about writing a movie. Don't let me lie to you. And neither does he. But I had a short stretch on the radio a couple of years ago and doing a morning show. I just got sick of the station owner and the FCC and the whole bit because I like to run unfiltered. That's just kind of the way I am.
Right.
And so I converted my office into a studio here and started the podcast. And we just, basically modeled it after some comedians that I follow and the podcast that they do. And you just never know what's going to happen. We kind of call it the Seinfeld of podcast because as soon as you heat the mics up, man, you don't know what's going to happen. And it was great. I mean, and people run short on time and blah, 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 blah. So now we've kind of turned it and it's evolved more into an interview show. I have like 3 reoccurring co-hosts.
Right.
That stop in from time to time. But we do a lot of Zoom stuff and a lot of that kind of thing. And it has been crazy. I much like what I'm guessing your story is, it's just a really expensive hobby that is a lot of fun. And there's a lot of people that are decided to come along for the journey and download and follow. And it's been great. I've been having a blast with it. But one of the most exciting parts is when we get to do stuff like this and meet people, because my real job is in real estate and not the fun part of real estate where everybody goes out and drives people around all day in their fancy cars and kisses ass until you buy a house.
Here's
It's
a
the
cookie.
part. Yeah. It's like, would you like a water? I do the part that I'm by myself all day and I don't ever see anybody. I don't ever talk to them. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't
That's
care
what you
to
have a
spoon
podcast
that
for.
way. Yeah, exactly. I don't like people. I mean, that's my prime thing. I don't not like them. I just, whatever. And so to get this avenue or this way to get out and meet people and talk to people, it's great. Plus the best part of it is you can control how they talk back.
Right.
There's an edit button for everything and you can clean anything up. So between the podcast and the voiceover work that we do, it's been crazy, man. I'm just having a blast.
Wait, there's an edit button?
Oh, you must have bought the discounted model.
No, I just always say, fuck it. I'm going to leave it as raw as it is.
Yeah, it does tend to go that way. But, especially with what's been going on, and I don't know how you guys are handling it, but with all the political BS going on right now and all the black, white, brown, green, whatever, I did a podcast on Saturday with one of my reoccurring cats and, boy, I don't even know if I can put it out. It just got off on a bender about, just how corrupt and how crazy everything is right now. And it's so sad. It's so like, but it gave us an easy hour of podcasting because I think it'll actually, people can connect with it. People can understand there's a lot of people that are really pissed off right now. And,
on both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I see all sides, but at some point we have to stop being victims and start moving on, like I get it. There's a lot of problems and whatever, but I was listening to a podcast this morning and they're talking about, if I go out, actually it was Adam Carolla who said it. If I want to put a deck on my house, a small deck on my house, there's probably a 2 or 3 week permitting process. And that's if they're not that busy.
Right.
If you're pissed off and want to tear down a statue of whatever you want, you just hook a rope to it and yank it down and change the face of whatever you want. And they're not doing anything about it. And it's a real hot button because I'm here in Minneapolis in the hotbed of ugly.
Yeah. I've got to ask because, I'm in Philly and I could tell you everything that you may have heard on the news.
Yeah.
that's been going on in Philly is played down. It's actually been worse than what they've stated on the news, but I don't know if they played up or played down Minneapolis.
You know, the
aftermath.
the craziness of it was, I don't watch the news because I just think, I can't, it's whatever. I'm going down that road. But, the lady on the news that at that time, because I had the network news on at that time from the local affiliate, and she's like, where are the police? How is this happening? Why are there no police here?
Mhm.
And basically what's happened is our mayor and our governor just completely shit the bed. And,
Not as bad as Seattle.
What's that?
Not as bad as Seattle. It's an
What's
opinion, but
Oh no, I had no
Indianapolis
idea.
didn't lose 6 blocks.
They did what?
At least Minneapolis didn't lose 6 blocks to an
Oh man, I don't know. I was gonna say I went down there, like when all this really got ugly. I was up at like 5 a.m. on a Sunday of that weekend, and I'm like, I took the kids' car because I don't want to bring my car down there. And so I hop in the car and I roll down there with the wife, and he's got one of these Jeep Wranglers, so I had the top off. So we're like, I exposed, but I'm not really afraid. I wasn't afraid, but it's just I don't like chaos. And at 5 a.m, I was just blown. What's that?
Who likes chaos?
Well, it's I like to have a little bit of control. And we did, so we rolled down there, and shit, everything's boarded up, everything, it's so ugly. And then there's like still smoldering buildings, and they let the precinct go. They gave the mayor didn't defend the precinct. Like, we took this hill, now let's defend. No, we're gonna let it go. We're gonna let them have it. It's like, what? So the whole thing was just ugly. And when I went down there, it really made me realize that, holy shit, this is real. And now I have, I own a lot of rental properties, and I have a rental that's right there, and I can't even get a phone call. And this is like one of my hottest properties. It's like 4 blocks from, the greatest lake in the area, which they've renamed because it was offensive to other people. But I can't even get a phone call, and it's like the hottest condo I have. So it's an interesting time, but it's given us a lot of fuel, and that's kind of why I've been happy that I'm doing a lot of national or guests from outside of the region, because if I did have to do a show every day in this current, it's just horrible what's going on. And I the culmination of it was on Saturday. I just blew a gasket. I'm like, I'm done.
Well, let me ask you before we get off of this dark subject. Let me ask you a personal opinion. Now, again, for the listeners at home right now, or on your phone or on your car or whatever, I'm not taking sides in this. So this is going to be a kind of a neutral question, but I'm going to find out his opinion simply because I'm curious.
All right.
Do you think that a lot of what has happened now, again, the George Floyd thing was the match that sparked the ignition.
Right.
We do know that. Nobody is ever saying that what happened to George Floyd was not atrocious and shouldn't have happened.
Agreed.
But do you think that part of the chaos that ensued afterwards is more politically charged, or what did it become more charged because of the fact that we just spent 3-4 months in a nationwide lockdown because of COVID?
C, all of the above.
All the above.
Yep. I think there's a lot of bad seeds that came in to capitalize on the opportunity. I mean, it was just such a perfect storm. I mean, the thing with George Floyd was horrible, but the other side of this thing is that, now you're starting to see a little bit of a trickle out. Like, he had some history, like you don't hear any backstory on any of it. It's just, these people are this, and whatever, let the justice system do their process. That's what they're there for. I'm not by any means a part of that, but the people playing the victims, and these people were burning and stealing from stores. This is where they get their food. This is where you operate. Why would you do that? So I think there was a lot of extra influence involved, and and I'm not in love with Trump. I mean, he's talks out of both ends of his mouth and whatever.
Right.
But I think in any political arena that you're gonna have an opinion. You can't, there is no perfect candidate. What he's done for the economy, what he's done for the jobs, there's no debate. I mean, it's good, but is this politically charged? I don't know, man. There's a lot of weird shit that's happened since he's become president with them trying to get him out of the presidency. I mean,
Well,
truly.
that's
Well,
what I mean. Like, obviously, I don't mean like the Black Lives Matter movement. Although it's come out that Black Lives Matter is very politically charged in the Marxist movement.
for sure.
But
For sure.
I mean, when the riots and looting came out before when it started out as a peaceful protest of a man who lost his life.
But was it ever really that? I mean,
it was supposed to be that, but
yeah, it was supposed to be that. And I was in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin 2 weekends ago, and there was they were walking down the street, yada yada, and totally cool. Get your message out there. That's what freedom of speech is all about. It's this other bullshit that stop. If you see someone coming out of Target with a grocery cart full of stuff they didn't buy, why? That's stealing. I don't care what happened. That's stealing. And they didn't do anything about it. So part of the perfect storm, and by all means, I don't want this to be
no, not at all. Not at all.
Minneapolis in crisis.
There's the title of the episode.
The storm with, our mayor is not old enough to be a mayor. He doesn't have enough life experience to know anything. And the fact that they were able to take that precinct and burn down a post office that's been there for God knows how long. I mean, it just, come on, grow a pair of balls and get out there and act like an adult. But he just doesn't know. And our governor is a retired person from the school, like a teacher or a principal or something. And you're not in a position where you should be leading a state. And the fact that the National Guard, I mean, this went on for 3 days before he got the National Guard involved.
Right.
3 days of just chaos. Do whatever the hell you want, take whatever you want. And it didn't affect me, but I called because I live, I don't know, 30 miles west. And I called when I was microphone shopping, and the guy's like, yeah, I have that one, but they stole them all. He goes, I lost everything when the looters came through. They took all of it. It's just like, it gets to the point where you don't want to hear it anymore. It's such, like, at what point does any of this make sense in real world? Now they're talking about, let's get rid of the cops, and all the like St. Paul and Minneapolis have both severed ties with the police.
That's stupid.
So they're not going to have any whatever they call them in the school. They're not called cops; they're called something else. But I mean, that's just, you're just asking for trouble. And then someone brought it up today. It's like, with all these crazy kids on all these meds and whatever, and are you just asking for a shooter to come in? I mean, really, if there's no cop, let's just advertise. And then what happens when all hell breaks loose? Let's call the police. And they're like, no, you severed ties with us. We can't help you.
What was it they were looking to replace it with? I'm going off of what I've read on the internet. So take
you don't even want to know.
I heard like social workers.
Yes. If something happens and you're in need of help, contact a neighbor or call a social worker.
Oh God.
And then when you're dead, we'll figure out. It's just.
Well, wait. Call a neighbor. Yet they want to disarm citizens and take away the Second Amendment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So what's the neighbor supposed to do? Use harsh language?
These people just want to live in a marshmallow world that, and I. It's funny because the spokesperson they have for this, and this may be edgy, I don't know, but the spokesperson they have is like, he's I don't even know how I'm not even going to say, but obviously lives in a different world than everyone else does, because the reality is you need police, you need law and order. Otherwise, shit like what happened in Minneapolis will happen. That's me closing the chapter on that. No more talk about that shit.
No, not at all. Podcast. To answer your question that led to all this, how I handle it on Realm the Myths is usually we have a rule of no politics.
Oh wow.
We tried the politics.
I should have waited for your answer before I started talking.
That's all right. We tried politics for a little while on a former podcast show that we had called Realm of the Myths Podcast. It was really original. It didn't go over too well. Like we lost it when we covered the first State of the Union address.
Yeah, you just can't. It's a real, you know, the other thing that I find is interesting is my goal was to get comedians. I've had a few national comedians on my show, and I ran into this. I consider myself a what do you call it? Maybe like a connoisseur. I've been to a lot of comedians,
Okay.
and I, enough to where I would, not an expert, but pretty damn close. But when I first started this journey, I went to see Frank Caliendo, and God, I laughed my ass off. Like, and this was back before he was on Fox and all that stuff. So it was like just him working out, voices, and it was just a wild ride. It was fun. And then as soon as it was over,
Excellent Madden impression.
oh yeah, totally. I dashed to the door, and he's out there peddling his CDs or whatever. That's how early this was, because his brother wasn't even involved yet.
Okay.
So he's peddling his CDs, and the brother-in-law and I are out there, and we're like making small talk, and it was like he was so uncomfortable. He didn't know what to say. He didn't like exactly like how I would consider myself. Like, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people, but if you get me going, we're gonna have a great time. Believe me. Right. And that's exactly what it was. He was so uncomfortable. And it kind of triggered it in my head. Well, then I've got these national acts on over the last 6 months of comedians. And oh my God, it's like prying anything out of them. Like, and you don't want to just go be funny, but it was like, oh, wow, you were a horrible interview. Where's the pizzazz? Where's the glow? And I'm glad we weren't selling show tickets, because they wouldn't be selling. But I've had quite an interesting list of guests, and man, we've had some fun ones. And then a lot of the shows where it's just me and my original group, man, we have a blast.
Well, with the voiceover work, I got to ask: Have you gone through that with your own like interviews and stuff, where people are like, "Hey, do that commercial," or "Hey, or something like that"?
No, you don't. Not so much. I don't. I'm not known for particular voices.
Liar. I went on your website with your thing, and the first one that played was the Burger King one. And you know what? I hear that constantly. I was I know who he is right off the first 10 seconds.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of people, it's kind of a weird thing. I get a lot of people who, I do some voiceover, I do some acting or whatever. And there's a little bit of it in everybody, and you put those headphones on like you have, and you sound awesome. You sound great. And then you hear it back and you're like, You know what I did yesterday? I'm working on a piece for a narration for like Game of Thrones type.
Oh, nice.
Deal. And I was using the old microphone then, and I had run a pass through, and I didn't love it, but I sent it to him because they just totally gave me raw script. I didn't know anything, no backstory or anything. So I just threw something out there and whatever. It's a king from the 1300s who has to be real regal and bold. And so I sent it in, and he's like, I like where you're at. Let's tweak this. Let's do that. And sends it back to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'll show him. I'll get my voice coach involved and really do it up. So I get the voice coach involved, and I'm doing this voice, and it's like this. And we're reading the script, and it's like a whole page and a half. And my coach is listening, and I'm on this old microphone, so I have to really project and push. And it's just not my normal thing. I can go real low, and I can get it down, but when you're doing grumbly and low, it gets sore. So anyway, he's like, just go through the whole thing, just bang the whole thing out. And we get to the end, and he goes, maybe this isn't for you. And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah, I'm not hearing it. And then I'm like, well, and then my voice just cracked. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I just couldn't do this regularly because it's not
right.
Such a stretch, and a lot of the voice stuff is muscle memory. You have to train your voice just like you would, to throw a baseball or shoot a basket. It's just a muscle memory, and I was not prepared to run through almost 2 pages of script in that voice, and boy, did I pay the price. And then to end up with maybe it's not you. It's like, that's not what I want to hear. So it's a you think the podcast world is challenging, times it by 10, man. The voiceover world is ruthless. There's a billion of them out there.
It's a weird comparison, but we had a show that was for Dungeons and Dragons, like live action, playing D&D on air, called Chronicles of the Lost Realm. And after we lost our original DM, who used to do the intros and everything else, I took over. And I'm by no means, way, shape, or form a voice actor, but I had to do a grumbly voice for the recap we did at the beginning of the show or the previous episode or whatever.
Insert that here.
Welcome to Chronicles of the Lost Realm, our heroes. And you're right. And I was only doing like a 30-second spot. You know what I mean? And by the end of it, you're like,
well, now I'm kind of on the other side of it, where I'm like, I'm going to talk to the guy who sent me the script, and I'd be like, give me a week. Let me play with it for a week, because more than anything, I want to show my coach that, hey, you don't know everything. You think you know everything, but you don't. But it's the story's a lot longer and a lot deeper than that. But the idea behind it is with the voiceover thing is these guys who do the voices, like Frank Caliendo or I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head.
Frank Welker. He's a famous voice actor. Frank Welker.
Oh, I don't know if I know Frank Welker.
Sure you do. Scooby-Doo, Fred.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure. I play with a Scooby-Doo every once in a while, a voice. Nowadays in the voiceover world, it's about sounding more like you than trying to sound like someone else. The days of the monster truck announcer voice are gone. It's just not there anymore. I'm actually working on an automotive spot right now for a demo reel, and that's about as announcery as you get, and it's really not. Because people are just shying away from it. They want that more everyday, like you're talking to me kind of voice, which is great.
That's a great question. You think that's a lost art?
No, I think it's actually one of the easier, to go announcer is really easy. And I think a lot of people attribute voiceover to the announcer world, like as soon as they say, all right, do this little read, you're like, today on the, and it's like, hey, you just don't, it's just not there. So it's nice because it's a lot more, you can do a lot more work in a less amount of time because you don't have to focus so much on the voice. But then there's people out there that, I mean, God, they just kill it with the voices. The guys from the video games and the Transformer movies and they're killing it. I actually went to Ireland last year on a retreat. They call it a retreat. I hate using that word, but it was a retreat. So I do a week in Ireland with some big hitters, real big hitters. I was in no position to even be there because I didn't know what I was doing, but one of my coaches was the host, so it was cool. But like Joe Cipriano was there, who's like the guy for Fox, like big network guy. Oh, tonight on The Simpsons, that guy. And then the other one that really blew me away was look at her book right here. It's Debbie Derryberry. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Do you know who that is?
No, I don't.
She's the voice of Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and a whole list of other things. She's got a resume as long as your arm. But she taught this class about character acting, and just to see her, she's got to be, I don't even know, she's middle-aged, let's say, just a little thing, like all of 4'2", and just running through burping noises, farting noises, crying baby to old lady to, it's incredible. It was such a fun class because, I mean, when you see somebody who can do that, it's not normal by any means. You have got to have years of practice. Because I know she also does, have you watched that F is for Family with Bill Burr?
No, I haven't seen it.
She's the daughter on that one.
Oh, is she?
But, yeah, and she's so down to earth, just normal, hey, call me if you want to work on this, whatever kind of thing. And it was just a blast. But when you see someone who really is good at that, it's a roller coaster ride, man. That is a real talent. And I'm not there. I dabble.
You know what? I've always found it funny because, like, even as a kid, like you were mentioning, like with The Simpsons, for example, and Bart Simpson's done by a older lady, an little old lady. I mean, even E.T. was done by a little old lady. It amazes me how women always seem to get the voiceover roles of playing either young boys or.
Well, I think they have the most range. I think they could really. Take it from young boy to old lady and everything in between if they're good at what they do, but yeah, the men just don't have the, you know, that's a real skill. It's fun. It's fun to watch. And someday, you know, I'd like to, I've done some cartoon stuff, which it's so fun. But that would be, you know, like actually she had told me to get in contact with her because she works with Bill Burr, and Bill Burr, a huge Bill Burr guy.
Okay.
And you know, because he does that F is for Family. Vince Vaughn does that with him. And just to do a cartoon like that is, I'm not creative at all, but just to do the voices, it's such a fun thing. It's a fun business, but it's not for the faint of heart, man. There's a reason why whenever you find a voiceover coach or a audio tech guy who does voiceover, everybody has a side hustle. There's very few people that are living on voiceover alone, because you know, there's thousands of people doing it. It's tough.
But at the same time, I mean, if you got a voiceover job, say for a cartoon, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, it's one of those things that, like, you know, just it sticks with the crawl of the people, and it becomes an iconic thing. Like, you could live off of that. I mean,
For sure.
Look at Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill with their Batman stuff for the Batman series, or the guys, I can't think of their names off the top of my head, Pinky and the Brain.
Well, I think if
they go out and just talk as Pinky and the Brain for 10 seconds and make $1,000. I mean,
yeah. Well, and that's the whole goal, and that's part of, like, meeting people like yourself, and just, you know, somebody knows somebody, and, you know, there's a lot of things that I can't do, and there's a lot of, you know, voices I can't do. There's a lot of audio stuff, like, you know, once you know your limits,
mm-hmm.
and then you go out and you're meeting people, and it's like, hey, I know a guy in Philly who can do that. Let me get you in touch with him, you know, and it's that networking piece that my other business I lacked for 30 years, you know, like, it wasn't a thing. We hated everyone else, or not hated, but we didn't network. We were on our own little island, and everybody was your competitor. Where now it's like, you know, who do you know, and how can we help each other? Because that's really the key to this whole thing, because it is a very small world. I found that some of the people I talk to and some of the people I've run into, just on a whim, it's like, oh, I know him and he knows her, and well, there you go. And then pretty soon you're doing cartoons, you know.
Well, let me promote to your friends in case they listen to this episode. If you are interested in having voiceover work done by a by a guy who does a very good impression of a middle-aged, bored, talentless Philadelphia guy, I'm your guy. Give me a call.
I know just the guy. Call 1-877.
I love me, and you can too, for only $5.99. Cash before delivery, cash after delivery, cash during delivery. Sorry.
It's the speaking of which, I interviewed this guy. I'm not going to bring up his name because you wouldn't believe me if I told you. Not a huge celebrity, not at all. Probably like there's like A-list, you know, like our Brad Pitt and our Tom Cruise, and then there's a B-list, which many people know about, and then there's the C-list, and this guy's probably at the bottom end of the C-list. And you know that
still higher than me.
yeah, I'm down near the Y's and the Z's.
Yep.
You know that, what the hell's the name of that thing where he'll wish you happy birthday or whatever?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it, but
it's really an important piece to the story, though.
That's not that Cameo thing, is it?
Yeah, Cameo. It's Cameo.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So I'm talking to this guy. I'm doing an interview, and he's telling me that he's been doing a lot of Cameo stuff. And I'm like, oh, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, I get a lot of them. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, I'm probably doing, 10, 11 of them a day. And I'm like,
wow.
Really? He goes, yeah. And I went online and looked, and he gets like $40 to $50 to say happy birthday or how you doing or whatever. And I'm thinking, you're sliding, say, on a bad day, $300-400 from that?
Hey,
like,
hey, you know what? I've had thanks to Stephen Joyner, I've had celebrities and others be able to give me some shouts for some of my shows. I've got to edit this out of the conversation now, because now they're going to realize that they should have charged me.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
No,
you're right.
I
it's funny. I never even thought of doing that. I should do that. Get people to wow, geez, look at you, the guru of podcasting. We're learning.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you know how to edit, because you got to take a chunk out there.
I'm not editing anything. That was a joke.
Do you normally do a lot of editing? Like when I get into it, and I just cut out all the noise. I don't really, and sometimes whatever, if I You know, I noticed on one of my most recent podcasts, I was repeating a word a lot. So rather than try and cut it out, I just added to the front and said, "Hey, this is a drinking game podcast.
I've
You
done
know,
that.
every time I say this, you need to drink. Not that we're condoning it, but if you're not doing anything during a pandemic, you might as well play a game."
I've done that actually. I've done that because I have a bad habit, which I've been working on a lot, of using the phrase "and stuff of that nature."
Oh, really?
I had a podcast, one episode of After Hours, which I got to tell you the story of After Hours. You'll love it.
After Hours?
Yeah, that's
That
my
sounds like my
Seinfeld.
kind of podcast.
That's my Seinfeld show.
Um,
But it was an episode of After Hours, and I must have said it 8 times. And in an hour, 8 times, I said stuff of that nature, and it was to the point that not only was I hearing it, but my wife, who pretty much kind of ignores me when I'm doing this, is sitting there going, "Will you shut up?" You know?
Too many.
Yeah. So it's funny, but as far as the editing, to answer your question, as far as your editing, I only cut out dead spots. I don't take out the uhs and the ums. I don't take out the stutters. If there's noise effects, like you were saying, yeah, I'll take those out.
Right.
But as far as anything else, the only thing I'll take out is I do live by the rule, no dead air.
Yeah.
So,
Which makes sense. And it's not, it's not, that's one of the easier things to do. It's funny you say that though, about saying phrases like that. And excuse me, mine in this one particular episode was, I think, and the one who normally catches me on it is my mom. She'll call and bitch at me.
Wait, your
Stop
mom
saying I don't
listens to your
care.
show?
Stop saying I think. So I'm like, all right, I'll note it for next one. But
Wait, your mom listens? Lucky you.
oh yeah. The only time she can talk to me or hear me talk anyway. Actually, I'm going to visit my mom after this.
Tell her I said hi.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I'll
Oh,
play
she
it on
listens. Hi, Mom.
Yeah, there you go. But no, I get the if you listen to local radio, there's a local radio guy that just been around forever, and it's funny because he's in a downward spiral because he just can't appeal to the millennials and the people that are still on terrestrial radio. But it's the same kind of thing. If you listen to anybody who you can, who's on the radio repeatedly or on a podcast repeatedly, there's phrases that they'll say as a stall or a transfer technique because they're trying to think of what to say, or so you go to your go-to.
Mm-hmm.
And the local radio guy, who it's a huge radio show, he does it all the time. I can't off the top of my head think of what it is, but he'll say it and I'll be like, he's looking for something to say here. He's floundering. Help him. But everybody has it. It's funny and then you'll listen to it back because my general process is when I do a show, I'll listen to it back. I'll cut everything out and then I'll add in some drops and whatever.
Right.
And so you're listening to it maybe twice, after you've already been through it. So you start to hear it and then you get to the point where you're like, God, I got to stop saying that. Like it's bugging me. And I said it. So it's funny how that happens, but you do have your go-to, your safe words that, that you can stall
Pineapple.
a little bit.
Pineapple, Tennessee. Oh, wait, not those safe words.
Is your wife right there? That's
No.
a different safe word.
No, she's at work, so I can actually speak freely.
Tell me about this After Dark thing. Are you
After
doing the
Hours.
Adam Carolla?
No. After Hours was born
After Hours.
during the transition time of breaking the fourth wall. We had transitioned to a roundtable podcast who usually sat around bitching about movies and pop culture. And I had a full panel roundtable of people that we would talk. And we were released on an internet radio program called Radiocast FM. They're no longer around, but when they were around. Now, it's internet radio. It wasn't regulated by the FCC or anything.
Right.
But the owner wanted to keep things PG, radio friendly.
Family friendly.
So whenever we did the episodes and I would release it to Radiocast, I would have to edit all the bad words. I'd have to sit there and bleep all of them. Well, one particular episode, I think it was one of the few times we were talking politics, and I think we were picking on like AOC. No, I'm sorry. It was when Ghostbusters 2016 released, the all-female Ghostbusters, and it was hot garbage. And he went off. Basically,
Really?
3/4 of the episode was bleeped out. Well, I sent it to Radiocast. They released it, and wouldn't you know, some Karen wrote into internet radio station to bitch that we missed one word.
Oh God.
We missed one word slipped through the censorship and forced me to have to give a public apology.
Nope, I'm out.
So me and the rest of Realm of the Mist Entertainment, obviously the panel of Breaking the Fourth Wall, sat down and had a meeting over Skype, over video chat,
Yeah.
about what we can and cannot say, and basically if we wanted to continue with Radio Cast FM after that.
Yeah.
And what started out as just a meeting turned into, hey, let's record this because it's kind of funny. We went through the list of all the things FCC says you can't say.
Right.
And then went through another hour of coming up with all the shit that wasn't on that list that we could say. You know, like, okay, I can't say cunt, but I could say purple helmeted yogurt slinger. Cool, we got it. You know what I mean? That was the thing. And basically, one of my former coworkers in Realm of the Mist turned around and said, "You don't have the balls to release that." I said, "Not only will I release it, I'll release it as a show. I'll call it," and just off the top of my head, I'll call it After Hours.
Yeah.
So I released it as After Hours. Fuck the FCC.
Nice.
And that blew
Most downloaded episode.
up. Oh God, it blew up. And from there, I launched a show about nothing. Purposely just us sitting around trying to make each other laugh for an hour.
Hell yeah.
So that's how it came around.
That's the ticket. That's funny because I was just looking over here. I got I recently moved my office out of my studio, so I have an office and then the studio.
Right.
But I have a list from a radio station that I was trying to get the podcast on a radio station, and anybody that would sit down with me, I'd take a meeting. So I get a meeting from this radio station that's been there forever, and it's an AM station. I'm like, I don't care. I just want to get it out.
Right.
And so I have this meeting, and it's like at 9:00 in the morning or whatever. So I'm like, I should probably tune into their station to kind of get a vibe on my way there.
It's a gospel station or something, right?
No, it's this super left wing, like, holy crap. Like, she's just head and gutting Trump on just going off. And
Okay.
so I'm like, oh, whatever. I got to go. I can't not that I don't, not that that bothers me. I can handle it, but it just isn't, our formats don't align. So
Right.
I end up like, I'm going to go check it out, whatever. So I go there, and it's all security. They got to let me in, whatever. And I'm like, you really need security? Like, you're in the middle of nowhere here. She goes, well, we get a little political, and sometimes people get angry. And I'm just like, whatever. So I sit down with the guy, and he gave me this packet, which I think there was four, maybe 6 words in there. He's like, you can't say these 6 words. And they were, just the real bad ones. And I'm like, that's it? That's all you got? And he goes, yeah, well, and don't make fun of the left wing. Otherwise, everything else you can do.
Don't make fun of
just don't make fun of them. And I'm like, I said, I think it's great that you're considering us, but I just don't know that it's a good fit. And it kind of ended there. But I was just like, God, I should have just went on there for one show and just lit it up. Like, here's all the things they said I can't say, and this and that, and because it's so funny how politics and when you get into radio and terrestrial radio, for sure, it's so like, it's just gross. I can't.
Well, that's it.
Podcast. I can't conform. I don't want to be like everybody else.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm of the same mindset. Like, I call myself politically, I call myself right of center, which means I'm more conservative than liberal, but I do have liberal tendencies, which means in today's political climate, I'm an alternate right Nazi, white supremacist, In reality, I see both sides of the argument. As far as entertainment is concerned, whether it be music or podcasting or whatever else, I live by the old additive of comedians. Everything is fair game.
Yeah.
You will not tell me that I cannot talk about this, that, or the other, or cannot say this, that, or the other.
Right.
I will pick on the left. I will pick on the right. I will pick on everything in between.
That's for sure. I would totally agree. And I think I also from the comedian standpoint and my family knows it very well, that you can't take anything I say seriously. Like I'm not serious about anything, because I just don't, it was funny because while I was in Ireland with all these voice actors, who, by the way, we were doing a class on, God, I'm drawing a blank, but the promo for whatever, like when you're watching a good The Apprentice.
Okay.
Next week on The Apprentice, Judy and Bobby do this, this kind of thing. And so we're going through all these, and then you'd stand up and you'd read your lines, and they'd show the thing, and it'd be like real time. And they actually showed The Apprentice because that's one of the first shows that had this kind of a thing in this reality world setup. And all these actors in it, there's probably, I don't know, 7 other people in there who are real actors, not me. I was just along for the ride. And they just cringed. They just the thought of a Donald Trump show, oh my God, they were just, and I'm just like, just relax. It's we're learning something here, and just like all these statues they're tearing down, it's a part of history. You're not going to change it. It's there. Deal with it. Move on. Well, on that same note, there's another dude there that I kind of befriended because he goes to a few of these other things that I've gone to for retreat type settings, and this one place we had gone for dinner had really good pad thai. And so we're out at this Irish pub, eating, singing, dancing, drinking. And he goes, "Hey, you want to go get some pad thai?" I'm like, "We just ate, dude." He's like, "Eh." I said, "Well, you're preaching to the choir. Of course I've got room for pad thai." So we go over to this restaurant, and we're sitting down, head to head. He's got great stories. Good dude. But he basically sat me down and said, "I know you're a Trump guy, and we need to work on that." Like. And it was basically like an intervention, and I looked at him and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I'm a stroke survivor with kids and issues and bills and problems and podcasts and all this shit. And you think I care about this at a level that I would sit someone down and talk? You're like, come on. I said, I isolate myself, know what I need to know, and that's it. Because I don't want the stress. I don't want the, like you are wound up about this, buddy. And you don't have to be, because it's not affecting you at all. I mean, obviously in the grand scheme of things, taxes, blah, 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 it's somewhere down the line it affects you. Mm-hmm. But to where it's disrupting your day-to-day life, Jesus, get a life. It's like, and it was the craziest thing. Great pad thai though. Woo! But that was my first intervention where they were like trying to fix me. The acting world was trying to press down upon me. It was funny because then the Ireland trip was quite educational. I went on this one-day trip with this guy, big-time coach, good dude, like national big wheel and voiceover.
Right.
We're cruising. It's just he and I in this, chauffeured car. And after we got our Grey Poupon, we're cruising. And there's like a Conoco station in the middle of Ireland, and it's like the Obama center, like when you're cruising down the highway and they've got like the I don't even know what
the little pull off, yeah,
like a little, but it was like a gas station, like a
rest
truck
area
stop, and it was Michelle and what's his name, Barry, standing out front with their hands around each other. It's their thing, like
in Ireland.
Yes. So then this guy I'm with, voice actor, who's whatever, "Joe, we gotta go get our picture taken." And I'm like, "I'd rather not, but I don't care. Yeah, let's get our picture taken," because it was a unique thing. We're in the middle of nowhere, and
right
at the Obama fill-up station, and it was like just the craziest shit. And it all seemed to happen on this Ireland trip with these actors. But man, I tell you, it's an interesting world out there with the politics the way that it is, and you got to be very careful what you say and who you say it to. Because
again, I used to be, and like you said, you had an intervention. I didn't have voice actors or Hollywood elites. I've had friends who are no longer friends. Their choice, not mine. Who had an issue with the fact that I was a Trump guy, and it's like, really, no, I'm not a Trump guy. What I am is an anti-Hillary, anti-Bernie, and now anti-Biden guy. You give me a Democratic candidate that I can get behind.
Yeah. Here's a podcast.
Loyalty to Trump ends. The problem
here's
is
a podcast
I more agree with Trump than what you're giving me.
Here's a podcast for you. I'll let you have this one because my schedule's full. I couldn't squeeze it in. But if you could send out a Facebook post or whatever, and find me some people that can explain to me how Biden is even an option. Like he can't even complete a sentence. He can't even function normally. I have never laughed at anything so hard in my life as these posts, and usually they're from Donald Trump Jr. forwarding them out. But it's like the other day he sent out a thing that said with Biden on it, and it said Happy Mother's Day. And it's like, the funniest one I've seen is it's our first time in history that we have a presidential candidate who can hide his own Easter eggs.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, when I say I'm not a Trump guy, my candidate of choice back in 2016, before it boiled down to Trump versus Hillary, the horse I was riding was Ted Cruz.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? During these last 3 years, watching him on the Senate floor and with Congress and everything else, my choice is still Ted Cruz.
Well, and it's funny because you can't, you can't. I don't know. I come from the state that had Jesse the Body as their governor. So what are you going to do?
The great state of Minnesota.
Yeah, see, you can do that all day, baby.
I'm a former pro wrestler. It's kind of mandatory to be able to do the.
Is that like what they teach you on the second day of pro wrestling school? The
first one,
talk like a wrestler.
The first day is the Hogan and Randy Savage impersonations. Oh yeah, dig it, snap into it. Yeah.
Try talking all day in that voice. That'll kill you.
I think that was his voice. I don't think I've ever heard Randy Savage, God rest his soul,
not like
outside of that.
That's true.
That's
true. I think there I go with the I think again. I do believe that I've actually used those drops a lot in my podcast from pro wrestling, from Mean Gene Okerlund and the Crusher, and man, that's good food right there. You drop that in just about anywhere. But now when I know I need a Jesse the Body call in, I know who I'm calling.
There you go. Now
you know what he did for us that often gets overlooked? I mean, aside from all the weird shit he did do, he went in and got our license tabs. You got to renew your license every year on your car.
Right.
He got it down to like nothing. Like they charge crazy money for you to renew your license plates. We call them tabs. Just so you can buy that 2021 sticker to put in the corner of your license
registration sticker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one thing he did as governor, because he had a Porsche 911 and the tabs for the thing were like $1,500 a year. So he went in and passed a law so that it was like $200 a year.
So
it lasted the whole time he was in office. It was the greatest ever. And now they're back up to ridiculous numbers. But that's the one thing he was able to offer us.
That's funny in the state of Pennsylvania, even though we're heavily liberal controlled, Tom Wolf and especially in my city with Mayor Kenny. The one thing they did do that I absolutely agree with, kind of the similar situation, is they eliminated it. They eliminated the registration. You don't even need the sticker anymore.
So we just get lifetime plates?
Yeah.
What? Or you got toll roads then?
Oh yeah, we've got toll roads.
Yeah, we don't have toll roads. We don't have toll roads, so we pay all at once.
And we've got annual inspection and emission tests.
Oh, that emissions thing is bullshit. If you want to drive an old beast, you should be able to drive an old beast.
That's it. You're sitting there smoking weed down the block. You can deal with high cost.
You guys, is weed legal there?
As far as I understand it, weed's kind of legal everywhere, but it's still like in a municipality level. I don't smoke, so I don't know.
It's not in Minnesota. It's still illegal here. But I like where your head's at.
Well, it's funny because I lived in Colorado for a couple of years, and I remember when people were pushing for it to become legal, and there were some cities in Colorado that allowed it, like Boulder, Colorado would allow smoking in public of marijuana. But they wouldn't allow cigarette smoke. That was actually completely banned in Boulder, Colorado, which I thought was funny. But I always laughed at them. It's like, oh, it's legal in Boulder. No, technically it's not. It's legal municipality-wise, but if a cop wants to be a dick, he'll just call a state trooper off the highway, and you're still in trouble because it's a federal.
Yeah, it's still a federal crime. I think that's everywhere. Even in everywhere in Colorado, it's still a federal crime. That's why you can't take a credit card to pay for your goods. Hey, speaking of Boulder, were you in Boulder? Is that where you were?
No, I lived just outside of Denver in Wheat Ridge, Colorado.
Wheat Ridge. I just sat through a podcast called Time Suck.
Okay.
which is okay. But they did a like an hour and maybe 2 hours on the Jean Bonnet case.
Oh, okay. The
And
Randy.
I'm not a sicko or anything like that, but I'm just some reason fascinated with this case because at the time that it was going on, we were in Colorado for my wife's sister. What the hell would she be? My sister-in-law. Her graduation from high school. And the wife and I are like, hey, let's drive up to Boulder and check out the house for the John Bonet deal, you know? So I've kind of kept an ear to it. Well, I jumped into this Time Suck podcast and like, there's so much shit I didn't know. Like it's really, and you know, not that I want to do a commercial for these guys or anything, but really an interesting podcast because they uncover a lot of stuff that like I didn't know. And not that believe me, I'm not doing research or anything, but it was interesting because like the little brother had a part in it and how the dad came in and like all of a sudden just had this this kid in his hands, like went from looking forward to, oh, look here, you know, like
Right.
it's the weirdest shit. And it must all be out there because I mean, they found it. But yeah, that's I'm forever going to be my Boulder thing is the Jean Bonnet case. I just can't let it go. I guess there's something going on there.
See, I've never been a crime follower.
I'm not either.
What I do advocate against is child brutality. I say brutality because child anything anything that deals with harming a child, whether it's sexually, mentally, physically, doesn't matter. If you
aren't giving up hugs, leave them alone.
Right. Anything you do to them, I'm completely and 100% against it. So I
just saw a Facebook post like before you hopped on here from the I don't know why I even got it, but it was attention sexual predator out there, and it was this local beach in a town neighboring us that some older guy in a bucket hat was going around giving these little 7-year-old girls the rubber bracelets, you know, like what would whatever do. Right. And it said, I think it said like suck my dick or something on it.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh my God.
She called the cops and they're looking for the guy. Literally, it just happened. And I live in a nice part of town. And the one lady's like, well, I'd have to dust off my Irish and whoop his ass or whatever. And I'm just like, how do you not immediately go to kill somebody at that point? Like, that, you know, maybe you could get away with your daughter doesn't even know what that is or what, you know, hopefully they're blind to it. But oh my God, I have to work through some of those scenarios where I don't have a 7-year-old daughter, thank God. But if you're in that position, how do you not?
Well, you're exactly right, and that's how I feel. I think anybody who harms a sexual predator, for example, you know, a father, a neighbor, something like that, who finds out that somebody has done something wrong to a child and goes and murders that person, that's justifiable homicide in my mind. 120,000%.
I didn't see anything. What are you talking about? As long as it's proven. Jesus.
To me, it's 100% justifiable.
The fourth wall does not condone, or
oh, I condone it. Kill pedophiles. I won't mince words. Kill pedophiles.
So I got to run anyway.
But no, but you know, the fact is that, like, you know,
it's all the internet's fault. It's all the internet. These sickos.
It is, but it's not. I mean, like, Mambla and shit was around long before the internet became popular. It's just that the internet made it a lot more widespread.
Yeah.
You know,
now they can talk.
There were still dads who were diddling their daughters even before the internet. You know what I mean? Not condoning it. I'm just saying you can't necessarily blame the internet. It just became more mainstream in the views of the public.
Yeah.
Or, you know, in the face of the public, I should say.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. It's funny because there's a dude in my town who happens to, I think he rents down the road from me, from a really, you know, like if I ever see on one of these bulletins that, hey, my daughter's missing, I know exactly where I'm going to look first. Cause these are some suspicious looking dudes, you know, and he's always preaching the word of the Lord and this shit. Yeah. And he's got this dude living with him who's got to be like 60, balding, you know, he's got the hair on the sides and little whatever, and he wears like women's clothes, like, and he goes to hang out at the coffee shop, and he's like all around town, and it's like, I'm cool with it, but don't come up and talk to my kids, and then I got to explain to my kids what the fuck, because they don't understand. You know, like I don't know. And I think part of that is all like, I don't want to say that the internet's made it okay, but it's opened up a line of communication where these different interest groups can communicate with each other and make themselves feel more normal. I don't know.
Well, see
I might have to edit that out.
no. Yeah, I agree with you, because I think to play off of what you're saying as far as like the child molestation and the pedophilia becoming so commonplace in the world is really I don't mean to put the blame on this group. I'll preface this with very simply, I do not care what you do behind closed doors. You know what I
Don't
mean?
hurt the
So
kids.
as far as like the LGBTQ, if you're gay, you're
I think there's
lesbian,
2
you're
more letters you
bisexual,
missed.
you're transgender, I do not have an issue with you at all. I do not have an issue with you having rights. I do not have an issue with you guys having equality in the world. All for it. But
Right.
if anybody supports the pedophilia act into that group, you're wrong. That is not a sexuality. That
Is that a thing?
they're trying, but
Ooh,
not the LGBTQ, but the pedophilia society is
there's a
trying.
society?
There are people trying to advocate that it is a sexual preference and should be part of the LGBT community.
Why? Now we were doing so well, and then you got to come in with that shit. Why are you serious? That
I'm
must be a
absolutely
Philadelphia
serious.
thing.
No,
You're up here in shiny Minnesota, the flyover state. We don't have that kind of shit.
it's funny. I had a stepfather from Minnesota. That was my
Oh,
first
yeah?
time I ever rode a horse and was on a farm.
Over here in flyover country, we
I come from a
have some
military
horses.
family. I come from a military family, so my mother was from Colorado. My original father, my real father, who died, was from New York. I'm from Philadelphia, and my stepfather was from Minnesota.
There you go. Nice.
Explains
Cross country.
Explains the muffled accent.
Yeah, there you go. There's a story behind every accent.
There you go. Yeah,
I mean, we touched on politics and pedophilia in the same episode. Oh,
yeah. So let's talk about your podcast.
there's a good lightning strike coming.
There's a segue. Let's talk about your podcast.
Yeah. Well, these are items that we don't often cross on the DK project. No, we do a weekly show, the DK project. It's everywhere. It's on iHeartRadio. It's Spotify. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Anywhere you if you can find a podcast, you'll find us. And we've got. I think I just recorded our 95th episode.
Oh, nice.
And,
Congratulations.
yeah, we actually are putting them out hot and heavy now. I should have another one coming out later today, but I think I'm going to run short on time, so it'll be a morning thing. But yeah, 1 or 2 a week. And we've been interviewing a lot of national people, authors, actors, anything and everything under the sun. We do have a few reoccurring co-hosts that, every show we try and have as much fun as possible. And if we, get on a hot topic like politics or pedophilia groups or whatever the hell it is.
There you go.
Is that a group? Or what did you call it?
I don't know if they got a group. I just know there's a vocal. I don't want to use the term.
I don't want that.
I don't know if it's an organization or whatever.
I don't want that in my commercial. Cut that out.
There is some sort of vocalization towards it.
Okay, we don't go over that on my show. We gotta cut that out of my commercial. No, we just have a good time every time, man. It's we often are referred to as the Seinfeld of podcast because you never really know what's going to happen. We light them up. It's a morning show without the radio, and every show our main focus is just having a good time and trying to take people out of their crazy world for an hour and a half, whatever it might be, and trying to get them to smile and realize that there's more going on than all this bullshit the news leads you to believe that the sky is falling. We don't report sky is falling.
Well, let me ask because I'm ignorant. I have not had a chance to listen to your show yet.
No, it's totally
out here in Philadelphia. There's a morning radio show that I listen to continuously, and actually is kind of an inspiration towards my whole podcasting mindset, especially after hours to begin with. It's called the Preston and Steve Show. You guys can find like clips of them on YouTube for their daily rush.
all right.
They do a lot of segmented points in their show, because they run a 4 or 5 hour morning show,
Jesus.
where they'll talk about normal shit, and then they'll do a
Yeah.
segment of like news, and then they'll do a segment they call like the Bizarre Files, where they find the weird news of the world to talk
Yeah.
about, and then they do like the junk drawer segments. Is that something that you guys do with your,
We haven't
they paint it up?
we haven't structured that much. We do often have an eating with Eric segment, which my brother-in-law does a little restaurant review of a local restaurant or a food truck or whatever.
Okay.
And then we'll just kind of touch on, maybe hit a couple topics, but no specific. We don't break it down that way. We really just, basically take the cap off the bottle and keep going till it's gone. And you really never know what you're going to get. It's current events, but it's also, what's happening in the celebrity world and what's happening in the real world and today's violence report and so it's whatever strikes conversation is really what we're after. And it really becomes more of a see where it goes, kind of like what we did here today. It just kind of jumps around and the sky's the limit. Nothing's out of bounds, and see where it takes you.
Okay. All right. And you said you record it weekly. When does it usually release?
I used to try and release every Thursday, but
Okay.
lately I've been doing at least 2 episodes a week. So I'll try and hit one on Monday and then maybe get one out Thursday or Friday.
Okay.
It just depends. Lately I fortunately and unfortunately, I have so many in the bag that as fast as I can edit them, I'm putting them out right now. And so they can still be somewhat current, because a lot of them that I have in the bag are not so much time sensitive, but yet these people have things going on, whether it be a movie coming out or a book release or whatever. So you kind of want to keep it somewhat current and fresh in their head too, so that they can help push it and get the word out. But so, right now we're doing 1 or 2 a week. So it's been good, the numbers, but if we go back to 1 a week, I wouldn't be, crazy, because it's more manageable.
That's something I was going to ask you was time sensitivity. Like you said, since nothing's off on the table and you will touch current events, do you find that you have an issue with, having, say you recorded an episode today and you talked about something Trump said today?
No, we don't
like
get that into detail. I do have one in the bag right now that we recorded on Saturday, and I'm still deciding whether I should release it or not. But if I don't do it the next day or two, it probably won't happen, because it's somewhat time sensitive, because obviously I'm in the hotbed of hell here in Minneapolis. And, some of the stuff wouldn't be that relevant if I wait too long, because
Right.
I got to think we're going to, not that we'll ever go back to normal, but what will be the new normal, and things will go there. In a perfect world, I'd love to do, 4 days a week, bang it out in the morning, get it released later that day, or do a day behind. And that way it's always fresh, and do an actual, morning show. We'll have the segment from you, and we'll have the segment from him, and this segment, and each day we bring new people in with new shit, and that brings new conversation.
Did I just get
There's a
hired?
local what's that?
Did I just get hired?
You have to be comfortable working for nothing, and getting up
nothing.
early, and you have to be able to be funny in the morning. It's not easy to do.
Well, it depends. So I have to have pants.
No.
And I'm in.
No. No pants required. That could be the new show. You can't take that title. That one's mine. That's copyrighted by Ricky Bobby Inc. I would love to do 4 days a week. And there's a local radio lady that was just on this most popular radio show, and all of a sudden she wasn't there anymore. And I thought she was a real important part of the show. And I'm going to try and get her to be a reoccurring guest, so that I can start to formulate a type of a morning show. And then, with people like you or whatever, I mean, it could totally happen. And then, you bang an solid hour out, and then you edit it in an hour, and then it's out by 9 o'clock,
Right.
for the drive home. I don't know. I'm starting to think, geez Louise, what are you doing tomorrow?
Let's see.
You're on East Coast time, so it's going to be real early for you.
Let's see. I get up in the morning. I drink a cup of coffee. I polish one out, So I'm ready
You
for
can
the
do that on the morning show, not the polish portion. You don't have to be a fan. Polish on your own time.
Oh, what's that hanging from my microphone? No,
So
it's okay. It's a Cheerio.
we can go. We can go. You know what? We'll just go without video. We'll do the non-video version, and that way, whatever you do is your deal.
Yeah, right.
Nobody knows.
No, it's me. It's fine. It's
It would be funny
as long
as
as I'm
shit
down
if
in
all
the
of a sudden
studio.
the video popped on and you're sitting there naked.
As long as it's in the studio, because I'm pretty sure if I'm trying to do it up like, in the bedroom, my wife might be like, "Will you shut the fuck up? It's 5:00 in the morning."
Get out of my house! I can see it. We're gonna have to chew on that a little bit. But I like that idea of doing four a week, and then you can do current events, and you can do, hey, what's happening in the news, that kind of shit.
Right.
But for right now, we try and limit the time sensitive stuff as much as possible. When I have my reoccurring co-hosts in here, we get a little bit more into that kind of thing where, sports and that kind of stuff, you have to stay current with that. And we try and keep up on the local sports team and what's going around in, the leagues that matter. And,
so Philadelphia.
it's great. People should check it out. It's the DK Project podcast. It's the one with the good looking dude in the blue on it, not the S&M bullshit. I got some guy stealing my
if you
title.
get a good-looking guy and put him in S&M stuff, it might be the niche you need.
Oh man, like a combo, like DK squared. That's what I'm talking about. But no, so if you can get your listeners to segue, if they like what you're doing, they're going to like what we're doing, because it's we're along the same lines. It's just a different take on things and a different voice and perspective, but
probably cleaner.
Well, you never know. So it's the DK Project. It's located everywhere. You can check out our website, thedkprojectpodcast.com, and check that out. Otherwise, if you need any voiceover work done, you can find me at darrenkvo.com. I got some demos and samples on there. What's that?
That's where I found you.
There you go. So anybody's looking for anything, and I'm one of those guys who just loves doing what he's doing. So I'm happy to help with any kind of project anybody has. And hey, if there's money in it, that's a bonus. But if not, I just like messing around with it. So.
Well, you know what? Because you're a podcaster and because you're a voiceover actor, this is I told you I don't usually do standard questions, but there is one standard question I usually say for people who do something professionally that I know that some listener out there is like, I've always wanted to do podcasting, or I've always wanted to do voiceover work.
Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody starting out in the fields that you do?
It's funny because I'm late to the game, and I still think that in the bottom of the ninth that there's a stand-up comedy tour going to be in my future. But I would tell people that, if you're thinking about radio, or you're thinking about the problem with today's kids, and I know this from experience because I have a few of these older ones, that they all want to start at the top, and I was basically the same way when I went to check out radio school. I want to be at the top. And the thing that these kids have to learn is that you got to work your way up from the bottom. You got to know how to splice audio, and you got to know how to, tune in your mic, and you got to know how to pay a coach way too much to teach you nothing. That's just life experience that you have to have. So for people who want to get into voiceover, or even real estate, or owning an ice cream store, or podcasting, don't let anybody, my biggest fuel was always people, you can't do that. Why would you do that? Well, if it makes sense to you and you can see it happening, make it happen. But to think that you're going to jump in and be one of these YouTube snobs who's making 100, I don't know how many times I go home and my 14-year-old's like, these people I watch on YouTube, they're making like $14 million a month and they're just giving the money away. Like, it's just, that happens to, you might as well play the lottery. The odds are very similar to the fact that you're going to jump into that position. Now, if you start young and work your way towards something like that by learning something and honing a craft, you can do whatever you want, and don't let the man limit you and tell you that you can't do things, because that's the biggest thing, is you get in your own way and you tell yourself, well, my job here at blah 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 is safe and I get a check every week. If that's what you like, then hey man, the world needs people that do those things. But if you want to chase after something crazy and have a lot of fun, don't let anybody stand in your way. That's the biggest message I try to convey to these people, because it's like I just got the almost 30 for Christ's sake text from my son. How about that?
No.
But don't let people stand in your way. And I'm the house flipper. I'm a real estate guy. It's not a TV show. It's hard work. But you got to know how to scrape the baseboards and paint the trim and put the little covers on the outlet. You got to know how to do everything. Otherwise you can't be successful at anything.
Right.
And the other word of advice I would tell people is hone one craft. Don't do 5 or 7. Do one really well. And then you can look into another one. Otherwise you get this going on. That's not bad lighting. That's my real hair right there. Stress kills people. So whatever you can do to ease the stress and make yourself live in that world you want to live in, that's the key. But man, I wouldn't advise anyone against it. It's a great diet plan to be a podcaster or a voiceover guy, because you're not going to eat a lot. Hopefully like ramen.
I said the same thing about divorce. I lost a lot of pounds that way.
See? Exactly.
Now, in real life, I'm talking about like my own weight. I lost a good 60 pounds when I got divorced. But if I want to be funny, I would say I lost 135 pounds. A fucking bitch.
Yeah, that's exactly it. You go through that transition. You got to put yourself back on the market, and you get rid of a little extra weight. That's for sure. I like it. I'm gonna take your word on it. I just celebrated my 22nd anniversary, and
don't do that to me. Don't do that.
I don't like a lot of people, but there's one person I get along with really well.
Okay, I almost went to the Jeff Dunham Walter thing. Like, how long you been married, Walter? 46 years. And what's your happiest memory? 47 years ago.
46 in a day. I that's one thing I can't complain about. We work together. We run up all these businesses together, and everything's cool. She puts up with my shit and doesn't question new toys. And, it translates into shoes and handbags, which the direct equation is difficult to explain, but it's very lopsided the other way. But I
know that.
that's part of what makes shit works. I had a guy on, you probably had him on too, but he's a relationship counselor, and he's like one of the biggest
Rick Sunnebeer.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
of the complaints people have is how you put the toilet paper roll on or how you roll your toothpaste. And it's like, the answer to that is however she wants it. It's not up to you.
Right.
And how things work, Okay. Just like the handbag translation. I don't ask how that math works. It just, you got to look the other way sometimes.
The only argument, and I understand, I was raised by women, so I've automatically had it drilled into my head.
Are you one of the first generation 2-mom people?
Well, I had my mother and my grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Primarily raised me. And so I had it drilled in my head, like put the toilet seat down. I put the seat and lid down. In fact, I've used it as a dating ploy. It's like I'm already housebroken. But the argument of the toilet seat has never made sense to me. Is it so hard to put the toilet seat down? Is it so hard to lift it back up?
You know what? I don't ask those questions. A good point on that is in my studio, I share a bathroom with the ice cream store, and then I've got my private reserve area behind the curtain. But I don't let anybody in there. But the common bathroom has a sign this big on the wall that says, "Put the toilet seat down." And one of my reoccurring co-hosts comes in, and he pisses like a racehorse. He's always in there taking a piss. I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
It's like a big thing. And he never puts the lid down. Never. I'm like, dude, the sign is right there. Maybe I need to do a little translation for him.
Maybe.
God, what the hell?
Put it in Braille.
Yeah. No, we want to keep the hands directing the urine, not reading the signs. I can deal with putting the seat down.
There's a cheesesteak place here in Philly, surprise, called With or Without, and they pride themselves on being Philly. So they've got all the sports memorabilia hanging up everywhere. In the bathroom, in the toilet, in the bowl, they actually dried out the bowl, and put stickers of like the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Dallas Cowboys, and so you can piss and shit all over the teams we hate.
Yeah.
Maybe you should take a page out of their book and actually put the toilet seat down right in the bowl, so that way while he's aiming to take care of his business, he sees it.
Put the sign right in the water. Get a waterproof. Actually, my wife laminates everything, so I'm sure it's waterproof already. And you know what I'll do? I'll dry the bowl out and I'll paint it right in the bowl.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hell yeah. You might be onto something there.
There you
I
go.
like that. That is also copyrighted by Ricky Bobby Inc.
There you go. All right, so
We gotta wrap this up, man. I gotta get on to my hot date with my bride. I gotta go.
Oh, absolutely. That's where I was about to go. Is again, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find your podcast, and also where they can get a hold of you if they want to contact you, maybe for some voiceover work. Maybe they have some questions that I
For sure.
You know,
for sure. Give us check out. We're on Instagram at the DK Project Podcast. We also have Darren KVO on Instagram. We do Facebook. I do Facebook under my own name, Darren Kahmeyer. And check out the websites, darrenkvo.com and the DK Project Podcast.com. And we, like I said, we put out episodes anywhere you want to find them. I do a lot of, some days I go on crazy Instagram picture posting marathons. But if anybody wants to get a hold of us for voiceover or whatnot, we can be reached through the website, or you can give us a call at 612-290-1000, 612-290-1000. And if you got a small project or a big project, we're happy to help. I don't claim to be, the legendary long forever guy, but I've been in it long enough now to know what I'm doing and to give you a product that you'll be real happy with. So we're happy to help on any of that kind of stuff, or even if people have questions, hell, give us a call, shoot us an email, and you can get any of the links to the websites, any of that stuff, and get a hold of us. Otherwise, you can always direct message us on the social media. I'm so social media friendly.
There you go.
That's just like an addiction, man. It's like crack.
Yeah,
Try to avoid it.
It really is. The other day we had a power outage, and it fried our Verizon box, our internet.
Your internet.
Yeah, our internet and our television is all through Verizon. So the main box in the basement that provides all that was fried. We had to wait 2 days for a technician to come out, and I'm sitting there like, I was raised in the 70s and 80s. I'm 43 years old. I was raised in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and what the hell did I do before internet? Yeah, I was going nuts, man.
There's these rectangular things that sit on a shelf. They're usually real dusty. You can break one of those open. Otherwise, the old wheel and the stick in the wheel in the yard. That's fun.
Walking to school uphill in the snow 4 miles both ways.
No shoes with no shoes.
Feet, you had feet. Guys, thank you very much for joining us on Breaking the Fourth Wall. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did in any capacity, hit that thumbs up button, like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great Realm of the Mist shows on our channel. And of course, if you prefer us in audio only format, we got you covered. Just check us out on anchor.fm, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, and now I get to finally say it, on iHeartRadio. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us. Darren, it's been an absolute blast. I can't wait to have you on again. Maybe I'll get you on Journal of Jedi. We could talk Star Wars.
Yeah, sure. And then we could talk about how little I know about Star Wars and how much I look like Jabba the Hutt. Other than that,
no. With the hair situation we addressed earlier, I'd say Yoda.
All right. I have my slimming filter on my camera. That's all I can do. No, man, we're gonna reconvene this down the road. Watch for something maybe in the morning on a regular basis. I think a couple of guys with nothing to do could find something to do. I like it.
You never know. Can I put this down in unemployment as job search?
Oh yeah. I can send you a we're not interested letter. We're full.
Awesome.
We're temporarily not hiring. We're looking for someone more diverse.
Oh, affirmative action. All right, guys, have a good one. I'll catch you on the next Breaking the Fourth Wall. Hey guys, it's Chris from Realm of the Mist Entertainment. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out all the other great podcasts that can be found on Realm of the Mist Entertainment's YouTube channel or our sister channel, Sounds Dicey Gaming, for all your tabletop needs. And if you prefer your podcasts in audio-only format, check out Realm of the Mist Entertainment on Anchor.fm, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, or wherever quality podcasts can be heard. To our Patreon supporters, we thank you very, very much. And if you're interested in being a Patreon supporter, please go over to patreon.com/Realm of the Mist, and just $1 a month gives you exclusive content and helps our channel out greatly. Guys, again, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you on the next episode.